Welcome to Get After It with Nashy, brought to you by Ace Property Management and Sales.
Thank you very much for joining me. It's one of these happen quite a lot to me, sort of Instagram friendships and Instagram friends sort of come on the podcast. The fact that we've never met in person, but I've followed you for a while now, and we've got this sort of So Beer connection where you've been working with the guys at So Beer. How's that all been going? Because I know they've been supporting you really well.
Yeah, they have. And I've got Mark to thank for that. You know, he initially made the introduction from myself into So Beer. And it's the whole story is just so crazy. It's been a mad year. I'm just very thankful for everything they've done for me throughout. From ideas to concepts and then to actually making a reality. They've been amazing. They really, really have got behind me. And they do believe in it, you know, drunk on life. They are what they say they are, you know. So, very thankful for the So Beer guys.
So, but before you sort of came onto a lot of people's radar with what you've been doing of late, and we'll get into your triathlon, ultra running, Tough Mudder, everything that you've accomplished in this year alone. What's the backstory? Where does the Chilli Shamrock come from? What's the chat? What's the story?
Well, we bring it back. So, my mum is Mexican and my dad is Irish. So, hence the name, the Chilli Shamrock. So, yeah, I just grew up racing motorbikes and raced at a really competitive level, and moved to London then when I was 19, and just went mad drinking and all after, you know, and just kind of didn't enjoy that lifestyle. From someone that's been very active, you know, constantly training, working towards a goal and having a purpose, to having no purpose just left me very deflated, let's say, in life. So yeah, signed up for a first marathon back in 2013, probably would have, 13 it would have been, and just got the bug for all this endurance stuff there, and just kind of just kept going and just trying to go bigger each time. And I'm afraid of where we're going to end up by the end of it, but just the journey just kind of started there, and we're on a cool trajectory up and meeting some amazing people, you know, along the way.
So is it this year that's just really sort of elevated things and kind of got you into some really cool opportunities, and obviously getting from Dublin to London, I mean, a pretty epic adventure. Has that been on the radar for a while, that journey?
Nah. So this whole year has been mad. So I'll kind of rewind back. Like, so I did the marathons and stuff in 2013, and I only planned to do one, and we're going to go real deep into this now. So I met my brother when I was only 21. My oldest brother called Jerry. So he was given up for adoption, and I never knew him, but got introduced to him when I was 21 finally, and he was mad into running as well. And it just came together that we just signed up to do Dublin Marathon together. And it was just one of those weird things. And then, he's kind of brought me through this whole journey, and done Tough Mudders then, and then kind of, you know, did all that kind of scene for a bit. And then just 2019 was probably the big year where I kind of just went really at it. I did 1,000 kilometers worth of races over the year. So I did Dragon Ride, which is a bicycle race. Then I went on to do Ironman Bolton, and did London Marathon that year. I did this adventure race in Ireland called Quest 24, where it was a race you pretty much 50-mile cycle to the base of the tallest mountain in Ireland. You run up Ireland's tallest mountain, back down on the bike 75 miles, and then we did a 6-mile kayak, and then we finished off with 21-mile run. And you have 24 hours to get it done, all self-navigated, all self-supported, and just kind of fell in love with that weird, unsupported stuff, and just like, yeah, that's cool. And then in 20, obviously we got COVID, but I was actually meant to move to America, and that didn't happen because of COVID. And then, just on the sporting front, end up doing a 24-hour cycle on the turbo for a bit of crack. And then, tried to then do the Kerry Ultra last year with 3 weeks training. And Kerry Ultra is a 120-mile unsupported run. Very stupid. Tried to do it. Only bought my poles on the Monday, the race on the Friday. Bought my hydration pack. Never rammed any of this stuff before. Did a quick run the day before and said, fuck it, let's send it. And we tried to do it. Got 60 miles deep and had to pull out because I just died of death. So then this year was just, I wanted to do something big this year. And I saw the Atlantic was advertised through Matt Pritchard from Dirty Sanchez. He was like, look, we have spots. If anyone's interested, apply. And Ended up applying for that. Got through to the final stage. Ended up being the reserve rower to row the Atlantic this year. I've never rowed before. I just said, fuck it, let's put a name in the hat, see what happens. And then that was it. I just kind of fell into meeting all these boys. I got a boat then, and the idea for the 400-mile triathlon came along in January. I think it was January 26th is when I came up with the idea. And I just said to the lads who were on the boat, look, would you let me use it when it comes back? Can I go from Ireland to England? I said, yeah, cool. And then that was it. Reached out to Mark because I know he did something similar, and the idea was born.
Right. Let's go back a bit here. You've just put your whole adventure life into about 2-minute breakdown there. It started with a brother that you didn't know and you only met him at 21. Did you ever know you had a brother, or how did that come around? How did you? What happened?
So
come a bit closer. Come a bit closer, so we get that's it.
Okay, yeah. I look really big on the screen, so I just didn't want to be in people's faces. That's all. So my mum's adopted from Mexico, and so my brother was then she wasn't married at the time, and this is back in like the 70s, back in Ireland, and this is when the Catholic Church ruled the roost, and unfortunately because she got pregnant and that she wasn't married, they had to give the baby up, and I always knew I had a brother. We all knew about him, and my mum never hid the fact, so that was cool. And then just one day, I get this random message on Facebook from this bloke saying, "Hi Ryan, you don't know me yet, but you'll soon get to know who I am." And I thought like my mum was having an affair or something. I was like, "Mum, who the fuck is this guy?" And, and she's like, "Oh, I think this is your brother reaching out." So we had a mutual friend, because from me racing the motorbikes in Cork, that's where he lived. And he could speak to me through Facebook, because like my mum had always wrote to him the whole time, and the adoption board gave her name. So he then came back into our lives, and it's so weird because like we're pretty much the same person. We're both into our music, we're both into our sports, and it was just really, really weird. It's like he was never gone. So we both said we were going to do Dublin Marathon that year because he was a big marathon runner, and I ended up beating him as well. And
what's the age difference? Sorry if you said that. What's the age difference?
So Jerry's 44 and I'm 28.
Oh, okay.
So
a bit of a difference. But you hit it off, and did he have a family and the whole?
Yeah. So he had his family, as his own life. So his mum is always, his adopted mum, Rose, always said, your family out there, you should reach out to him. And then just one day he said, you have to go try find us. And he didn't know he was Mexican because he's put in the paper as an Indian baby. And so he then found all this Mexican family. So I've got myself, I have a younger brother, and then another brother, and then Jerry, who's the new addition, let's say. And then I have 2 sisters, and there's like 8 nieces and nephews floating around. So there's quite a few of us going around the place.
Well, that's an awesome story. That the fact that you found each other, but you get on so well, and you've got the same interests. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, definitely. So if anyone's listening to that, don't give up the hope. You just got to keep persevering and moving forward.
Good on you, mate. Good on you. That is a good news story, and we need a bit of it at the moment with the way the world is.
Yeah, but I think it's all perspective of how you look at these things. Everyone can look at they're hard done by, but you don't. You just got to push on and just deal with the cards you've been dealt with.
Yeah,
but that is my outlook.
Mate, it's a good one. And getting to adventures and things. I mean, obviously, a guy like Pritchard, who I know that you're quite pally with now, and you've done the Tough Mudder, you tried to do the Atlantic. Had you followed him? Were you familiar with him on Dirty Sanchez before you got to meet him and do these events?
Yeah. So this is what makes it so weird, because like me and my little brother and all my mates used to try to replicate all the stunts they did. Yeah. And then when we were doing the road from Ireland to England, we were listening to Slipknot and headbanging. I'm like, I'm in a fucking boat rowing across the ocean with Matt Pritchard from Dirty Sanchez. Like, the fuck has this happened? So yeah, it's been crazy. I didn't know him prior to getting into the Atlantic, and that's how I met him. Was through that process. You have to do all interviews and stuff like that, and then because I was reserve rower, I had to attend like the training for it. And I went down and met all the boys, and we just kind of hit it off. We're very similar, and we get along, and became mates off the back of that.
He's a cool. I've had him on the podcast, and he's an interesting guy. To go from what he did to his body in this such extreme lifestyle to what he's achieved in the Decas and the Ironmans and the Ultras, and the vegan lifestyle, and I mean, he's an incredible guy. Incredible.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's a very good athlete, and people don't see him as that. They see him, it's Pritchard from Derek Sanchez, but the guy is fucking fit. Like, he's very fit.
He's legit, absolutely legit. But he's extreme. And, you know, it's, I think there is something in that a lot of people that have had a pretty wild lifestyle, marathon running and ultras and putting their body and their mind into really difficult situations. It seems to be there's a bit of a pathway there.
Yeah, I think you have to be a bit touched to do all this kind of shit. There has to be something wrong with you. I've been knocked out a lot from the motocross, so I'm putting it down to that.
And what else goes on? Do you have a job? Do you live in the work in the corporate world, or are you going all adventure and going down that route?
No. So I work for Transport for London. My official title is Senior Executive Talent Acquisition Manager, by day, and then fucking do all this shit at night. So I have a corporate job. I recruit all the directors for Transport for London. I love my job, you know, and I love that the fact, you know, the two kind of balance each other out. One's a corporate job, but then I get to go do all this cool stuff, and it keeps me grounded.
What do the people you work with think of what you do when you come in at the weekend and you're absolutely shattered? It's probably still covered in mud, probably not showered fully.
People just think I'm mad. Like, they're like, "Why are you up to now, Ryan?" And I tell them, and like, "What is wrong with you? Just sit down." And everyone keeps telling me I need to get a girlfriend, and that's the issue. So,
well, that was watching. I remember watching one of your videos when you were sort of documenting the row you were going to do across from Dublin, and you said the only rowing I've done was on a date on the Thames.
Yeah, that was it. So I went down like the week before to go on the practice run, and my skipper Billy got the vaccine the day before, and he was just dying. So he's like, "Look, Ryan, I'm really sorry, I just can't." So I was like, "Oh fuck, we're gonna have to go just do this with no training." So I did the day before we actually left. So like 24 hours, not even. It was like 12 hours before we left. I'm in the boat with Matt, and then we had such a nightmare with the whole thing. Like the 400 mile, we'll jump into that. Like, couldn't get the boat into Ireland because of customs. They wouldn't let it in. So the boat got stuck in Holyhead for nearly a day and a half. And I was like, "Oh Jesus, this is the last thing I need." Finally, the boat arrives into Ireland. I fly back. This is on the Friday beforehand. We're leaving on the Thursday, and I get a call as I land off the plane from the skipper, and he's like, "Ryan, I'm so sorry. I've come into contact with someone with COVID." And I'm like, "Oh man!" Like, he's the skipper of the boat. He is imperative to the trip. Like, if he's not there, we can't do it. So he's like, "Look, but you're gonna have to try find a replacement, or we just postpone it." And I was like, "Well, I can't postpone it." I just said, "Look, we have to we'll find a replacement." Trying to find a replacement skipper was a nightmare. I reached out to so many people.
And what stage are we at? How long are you?
So this is the weekend beforehand. So we left on the 2nd. No, so we left on the 1st, which was the Thursday. This is the Friday beforehand. And I was off to Kerry that weekend to go do my trainer put on a weekend for us. So I was preoccupied. So I didn't have any spare time over the weekend to try to find someone because I was off training. And then come the Monday, I was like, "Oh fuck, I really have to find someone now." So so got on Instagram, got on like Google, and that's part of my job. I have to find people. So just pretty much Googled every Irish rower there was, reached out to absolutely everyone, and I ended up finding this absolute legend. We'll give him a big shout out, old Danny. And Danny saved the day really, and Tom. So Danny was my new skipper. He's the guy with the little spindle hat. The guy is an absolute madman. But he's a good guy. And then Tom was another local chap from where I actually live, who's planning on round the Atlantic in 2023, I think. And he just said, "Look, he'd love to be involved," and that was it. So everyone just kind of came together, and we all made it happen. But it was just, there was a lot of things trying to get to the start line. And Mark always said that the hardest part of this is getting to the start line, and it was. The bike broke the weekend before. I put it in a bike box, and it's got electric gears, and the cable snapped in the frame. And I brought it to the bike shop, and they're like, "We've never seen this before." Didn't have any parts. I was like, "It's just one of those things. We're just another hurdle that we got to overcome." And everyone around me was stressing. Like, look, I'm not stressing, so you shouldn't be stressing. Like, I'm the one fucking doing this. You're not. So yeah.
But even the boat, looking for a captain that late on. I mean, you say captain, that's somebody that's got to have done this sort of thing before. That's got to have been at sea, because obviously you could get a couple of guys in a boat and off you go, lads. But if the shit hits the fan, you need someone with a bit of experience.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like the fact that the Irish Sea is one of the hardest ones to row and navigate, because it's 2 islands. It's a busy shipping lane. There's loads of rocks within it. There's loads of sandbanks, and it's notorious for just being a bit of a bastard. Is what Eamon, the guy who was telling me, the Irish guy, the old guy in the videos.
Yeah.
It's a hard sea. But we got really lucky with the crossing. Like, the weather was absolutely unreal. Everything about it was just so surreal. I kind of just forgot about life for a bit. And it sounds mad because I know you're rowing across, but you in a boat, the lads, good music, good chats, and it was just so much fun.
Yeah. What was the crack like on the boat? Was it jokes? Was there times you had to get your head down and just keep on going, or was there this sort of constant nonsense going on with conversation? And
it was a bit of everything, really. Like, there'd be bits of it where you wouldn't speak to each other for a bit, and it'd just be the music, and then something would happen, and you just start laughing again. But yeah, it was real good vibes. It was good crack. But yeah, at the start of it, because like I had just run a double marathon, so like I was tired to going into it, and like I planned it wrong. It's all lessons learned. Like, but I woke up 7 o'clock on the Wednesday at 7:30, and then I was awake and didn't go to sleep until I don't even know. It was like, I think it was around 4 or 5 o'clock on the Thursday afternoon then. But I'd been awake for so long, and I should have done it where, because I started to run at 12 o'clock that night. That was bad. Don't start a run at 12 o'clock, because you don't sleep during the day. There's too much going on. There's just too much commotion. I was too excited. And I definitely plan it better next time, and starting to run at a different time.
So what was the run the hardest part?
No, so like for what it was, so 400 miles, Dublin to London. So it was double marathon, but the elevation of the run was just a bit of a nightmare. We ended up covering like 14,000 feet. No, 7,000 feet, sorry, the run was. 7,000 feet of elevation, double marathon. It was hard. Got in the boat, and the boat was just great crack. So that wasn't really a chore. But then the bike was just never ending. 245 miles down to London, and we got every type of weather. We got all the wind, and it was just, the bike was probably the hardest bit, because I'm fatigued. The fun is kind of gone out of it now, and the bikes are very isolated. You're just you, and that's it. And I did get frustrated bits on the bike, because I had a temper tantrum because it was piss and rain, and I just got dry again. I'm tired, and I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, and we still had 100 and odd miles, 150 miles, I think, or something stupid like that. And it was just like, it's just not ended. It just felt like the finish line wasn't getting any closer. So I got a bit frustrated there, and the bike got fucked on the ground. The helmet got fucked on the ground. Stephen, who was with me, just said, "Look, Ryan, that's out of your system now." And I was fine. Once I did that, I was fine, but I just needed my little hissy fit, and I was grand after that.
Head down after that and keep going.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah, and how did obviously cracking a soul beer, but the turn from there to smashing out a couple of tough mudders, 12-hour events and endurance and all that sort of stuff. Do you enjoy the assault course sort of circuit?
Yeah, it's a bit of crack. Like, it's something a bit different. It's not. I didn't think it was going to be competitive, but then everyone was taking it quite serious. I'm like, oh shit, and then so I just do a bit of a laugh, like, and so we did the first lap, and I came across the line in 7th. I was like, okay, this is cool. And then just kind of, I wasn't prepared enough. I had all my food kind of like everywhere, and I was just treating it as a bit of a laugh. But like, all the boys who are serious, like, coming in, the food is all ready, and have support crews, and like probably did it. But I didn't. I was like, oh, a bit of that, and then go back out. But yeah, lesson learned. Have a better food system and support crew to actually get me through. Because yeah, I'd like to go back and do that 12-hour one. I think I could get definitely top 20.
So that was 12 hours and just as many laps as you can do.
12 hours, many laps you can do, just send it. Yeah. So
and what was the winner? What did the winner get?
Oh, he did like 60 miles. So I did 46 miles in the end. He ended up doing like 60 miles. So yeah, I just fannied about too much in the pits. And that was the issue, you know. So you're losing, if you're not on course, you're just losing time. So yeah, we'll go back and we'll try to get top 20 next year.
What part of endurance do you enjoy the best? Would you think you would look at a long distance cycle, run, do something individually, or do an obstacle course circuit? Have you looked and planned sort of future events and what you actually enjoy?
Nah, no. So like I don't call myself an athlete. I don't think I'm anything special. I just see this stuff and I'm like, oh, that looks a bit of crack. I'll give that a go. Yeah. And then just do it. And people are like, oh, that's mad. How could you do it? And it's just, if you're willing to put the work in, you can do anything. You know, I think we are limitless. It's just how bad do you want something? And a lot of people say they want it, but they just talk shite. And they don't effectively want to put the work in. So they don't want it that bad. Where I'm one of these weird people. If I say I'm going to do it, I will do it. And yeah, I enjoy the things I do. I'm not I never like to look too far ahead. So next year I haven't even thought about it yet because it's ages away in my head. I'm off to Tanzania in November to run a marathon in Serengeti. So like that's the next event. We'll get that out of the way, and then yeah, we'll just see what happens next. But yeah, no, for me, I don't know. I just fell into all this endurance stuff, and it gives me purpose, and I like the challenge. And I think we should constantly challenge ourselves and put ourselves through these like hard battles because you don't know what you're capable until you reach that kind of limit. And I haven't found the limit yet, so we'll keep pushing forward.
And what's the Serengeti? That's obviously a challenge, but how many people are involved in that? Are you taking a team? Is it just you going out there, or what's the crack?
Yeah, so one of the boys again from the rowing, Johnny Ward, he had this trip organised and he just posted, "Look, I've been let down. There's 2 free spots. Does anyone want to go?" And I said, "Okay." I spoke to my boss and I said, "Look, would you mind if I take some time off?" She's like, "Yeah, no, cool." Reached out to him. It's like, "Is the spot still there?" And he goes, "Yeah." I was like, "All right, here's my money. Let's make this happen, man." Didn't know a whole lot about it. I just booked it, and then I was like, "Oh, this looks cool." So it's 10 days in Tanzania where you go on safari, and then you run the marathon midway through it. So it's on the Sunday of the 14th, I think it is. Yep, 14th November is when we go and do that. And yeah, just go run a marathon through the fucking Serengeti, and I think that's cool. So
kick it off. Yeah. Tell me, is there going to be any training in the on the way to the marathon? Or are you going to pitch up and see how you get on? What's the crack? How much running are you going to do?
Yeah, no, so I'm always training. Because I love my running. I love my cycling. Like the turbo bikes here. My room is more like a gym. There's a rowing machine there. We got a turbo trainer with the bike setup, and then there's a bed in the corner. So yeah, always training. And it's just easier to get. It's nice to be fit enough to just play. All right, I'm gonna go run a marathon now, and just do it.
Yeah, you're keeping yourself at that level. That's pretty cool. Keeping yourself at a consistent level. So
exactly.
Am I getting the vibe that you're not necessarily chasing a career out of this, or chasing a big sponsor to come in and say, what can you do? Are you quite content with taking on these adventures and seeing where it takes you?
Like I said, actually, I don't think I'm anything special. So like when Sobeer said they wanted to sponsor me and do all the stuff, I was like, really? I was like, okay, yeah, cool. And that's what I just find mad, I find it so bizarre. But yeah, they see something in me and they obviously see what I do and they like it. So I was like, yeah, cool. In regards to career, geez, I don't know. I just like doing these things because they're a bit of crack and it gives me purpose. Yeah. And yeah, maybe if I could make a career out of it, but then I kind of look at it like, is that when the fun goes out of it? Because this isn't my job. It's something I do for fun, and it's something, if I had to do it on a full-time basis, would I still enjoy it as much? I don't know. But yeah, if anyone wants to sponsor me to go do trips around the world and do crazy shit, by all means, hit me up. So I'll take your money to do it.
Yeah, no, mate. So I think, why not? You know, I've spoken to enough people that have had incredible careers and incredible opportunities, and they never saw it coming. You know, they took one chance, they won one race, and it just propelled from there. You know, it's exciting. It's exciting. There's opportunities now. The world's back open, and you're able to travel, and you're able to enter races, and you're able to sort of push boundaries again. You know, it's quite exciting for people that what's out there in the big bad world.
Yeah, now I'm trying to get better on my old posting the old videos. I don't really like social media, but I try to get the stuff out there. But I just feel half the time embarrassed to put stuff out. So I'm like, oh, who wants to watch this? But I have to kind of overcome that and realize, look, people want to watch it, they're going to watch it. If not, they won't. Like, it doesn't. So
you can post it and then they'll see it, and they might not see it the way the algorithms talk and Instagram and all that sort of things. But someone will watch it and then they'll be on to their own life tomorrow, and you'll be forgotten. It's one of these things that you post it and it's quite quickly forgotten.
Yeah,
a lot of people do put off. I even put off posting things and guests that are coming up and all this sort of stuff that I've got on the show because you think, oh, people won't want to hear it. But then you put it out there and something happens. Someone gets in touch, or someone says, I can't wait for this one, or you should get this person next. And I don't know. You know, it's kind of that imposter syndrome, or that
definitely
you're not wanting to put yourself out there and better yourself. But every time, or sometimes when you do, something cool really happens. And you think, I should have been doing this a lot more frequently.
Yeah,
it can be a real challenge.
Exactly. Yeah, now I know what you mean. Like, and to do the events is the easy part for me, but to talk about the events, because I never really seen them as that big of things, because I'm just like, it's what I do. And, you know, I've seen a lot of people post this week about London Marathon, for example, and I'm like, oh, look, fair play to you for doing it. But it just, I just have to kind of take a step back and like, Jesus, what I actually do is a lot bigger than what most average people do. And yeah, I kind of just need to get better at putting it out there and talking about it.
Yeah, mate. No, you've got a story. You've got an interest, and even that with your brother, that interests me. You know, I don't know if a lot of people know that, and people that follow you. I see that you get good comments, you get encouragement on your social media, and with brands like So Beer, you know, I see them on the side of your boat. They're invested in you. You know, it's a good thing. But what else? Who are you? Guys like Pritchard and Mark Beaumont. You've been around some pretty inspirational guys. Who else is out there? And do you take inspiration from anyone in particular? Is there people that you follow that think's really cool, or are you just kind of?
No, not really, man. I got asked this on another podcast recently. Like, do you must like watch David Goggins and people like that? And like, no, kind of been just inspired by myself. You know, watching David Goggins videos isn't going to make me go run for 6 hours. You know, you have to be your own motivator, and when the shit hits the fan and it gets tough, you need to be able to kind of go to that weird dark place and pull yourself out of it. You know, no motivational video is going to work then.
Yeah.
You know, like when a couple of weeks ago in early September, when I did that 120-mile ultra marathon, like that was the hardest thing by far I've ever done in my life. So 120 miles, 17,000 feet worth of climbing, and it was just so hard, man. I had a support crew, so there's only 5 support stops throughout the event, but it was just it was so hard. But in them kind of dark times, like no video helps you, and so I wouldn't say not motivated by people, but I could take it or leave it.
So what are you doing? What are you doing in your own mind when you're in that ultra and you can't move a muscle? Your legs are aching, your heart's pounding. You threw the bike about a bit on the triathlon. The helmet came off. You had you got it out your system. What are you like on an ultra? What are you like when you're on your own and you've got a lot of miles still to cover?
So where I pulled out last year, 60 miles, it was definitely one of those things I had to overcome.
Yeah.
And I needed to just take it off. So when we got to that point, I was like, cool, this is all unknown territory now. So everything was fine up until probably around, I reckon, 90 miles into the race. And then I got really bad shin splints. My legs felt fine other than my shins, but it felt like my bone was pulling away from my leg. I don't know how to describe it. It was so painful. Each step was just killing me. And I still had like 30 miles to go. I'm just like, oh man, it's such a long way. Like each step, so I couldn't run at that point. And like the sun is now starting to come up. It's that weird dusk bit, you know, and it was just horrible. And I started hallucinating really bad as well, because like we haven't slept for X amount of hours and we're running for so long. And yeah, kept hearing people and thought I kept seeing people in the bushes, but there was no one there. I was like, this is weird. So just kind of said to myself, right, I just need to keep going, and just each step I take forward is closer to the finish line, and just kept that in my head. And then we got 17 miles away, and I was actually going to pull out the race. I was like, I just can't do this anymore. My legs are just too painful. But I think what happened was I took some painkillers, and then they just obviously wore off, because it's been like 6 hours in between. And because like you don't see anyone for hours on end. Then I finally got to the support crew, and I was like, look, I need to call it here. I can't, my legs actually just are too sore. And I thought like something was broken. I thought like I had a stress factor or something, because I broke a lot of bones racing the motorbikes over the years, but it was the same kind of hotness and that weird pain. And I was like, this isn't right. So I rang my trainer, and I was like, this is what's happening. He goes, look, Ryan, you're 17 miles away. You'll kick yourself if you don't. You just ran 103 miles. Like, for fuck's sake, it's 17 miles. I was like, yeah, it's only 17 miles to you, but 17 miles is a long way. And plus we had to go up this massive hill as well just before the finish, and took the painkillers, threw a lot of ice on my legs, and just said, right, stop being a bitch, just get your shit together, man, and just do it. And that was it. Got back out there. Me and my brother then got it done, and yeah, I was delighted to come across that finish line. So it was just, yeah, a lot of dark points in that race though.
And what are you like at the finish line? Are you a man to celebrate these things? Are you enjoy a beer after the after the events?
Yeah. So like after the 400-mile triathlon, I cried on that one, because it was just such an emotion. Like I didn't think it was going to happen, and then from something that, you know, I just came up with this weird concept, and I told people that I was going to do it, and they're like, yeah, whatever, Ryan, yeah, talking shite. I was like, you'll see. And then it's like got the boat and everything started happening, and I think for that one it just blew up for me. And I got very emotional at the end of that one. But the Kerry, I was emotional, but I think I was just too tired and my legs were killing me. So and I had some massive blisters. My feet were not very nice. So there was a nice hug between my mum and my dad and my brother, and we all just came together at the finish line. And yeah, it was a really nice feeling, that one.
Well, good on you, mate. I've enjoyed following you in your sort of young career here. I mean, I'm excited to see what's next, but I like the way you look at it. I like the way, as I say, I've spoken to a lot of adventurers, a lot of endurance athletes that look at things differently. Whereas you can say, "Fuck it, let's go. What's next? Let's have a shot of this. Let's have some crack and go and enjoy it." And the time might not be that important to you. It's completing it. It's getting to the start line. It's everything else that comes with it. And I like your outlook, mate. It's look, it's all good.
It's the way I look at it. It's not my job. I don't get paid to do this. I do this for fun. And I think people take all this shit way too seriously. It's like, lads, you're doing it for a bit of crack, and you can't forget that. You're here to have a bit of fun. And if you're not, what's the fucking point?
Well said. Well said. Well, here, Ryan, I'm not going to keep you, mate. We're getting into the late hours of the night, but I appreciate it. I'm going to keep following you, mate. I'm going to keep sharing everything. I love everything you're doing with So Beer. And maybe I've got some entries to Tough Mudder Scotland next summer. So I don't know if you fancy coming up. You got a place to crash here if you want it. Get up here.
I'm coming up actually in for October. I'm coming up for Halloween.
Oh yeah.
I'm staying up with Mark, and I don't know how far you are. Where are you from him?
Not far at all. 20 minutes.
Well, you better get your running shoes ready, because we're going to run the 7 peaks. Is that it? The 7 hills of Edinburgh?
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So we're doing a half marathon on Halloween night. So get your running shoes, get a head torch, and we'll see you there.
Actually, you just called me out on a podcast, so I better get training.
you better get training, man.
All right, but well, here I'll catch up with you when you're up. I'm looking forward to that.
Cool, man. We'll see you then.
All right, mate. Take care. All right.
Cheers. Good luck. Bye bye.